Never mind that Daniel Penny has not, at least as of now, volunteered to be the right's next George Zimmerman or Kyle Rittenhouse, two vigilante heroes of the right who are beloved and famous among Republicans solely for killing people who they believe need killing and getting acquitted for it at trial. Armed conservative must be heavily armed and empowered to kill at will with your handgun, your AR-15, or even with your bare hands anyone who makes you feel threatened or uncomfortable anywhere, anytime, at your front door, in your driveway, driving by a Black Lives Matter rally, on the terrifying, scary, black man-filled New York subway. And the people who tend to need killing just happen to be black or brown or suffering from mental health crises or white, but just a little too cozy with BLM. And killing them is not just your right, Republican citizen. Doing it makes you a hero.
Nothing like beginning the day with a parody of repulsiveness such as that. The liberal media meltdown over the Daniel Penny acquittal has begun, and it is utterly hysterical. We're going to see some of the more absurdly preposterous media responses to the verdict and find out precisely why it all means nothing less than the final and decisive end of wokeness in America. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to celebrate the dawn of the new golden age that you made possible on November the 5th. So if you want to stay informed on all the latest happenings in the rise of a new conservative age, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Before we dive into some more liberal media meltdowns, we all know that in moments of emergency, you don't have time to hesitate. Whether you're deep in the wild hunting or living off the grid, you need to be prepared for anything life throws your way. The wellness company's Field Emergency Kit offers the most robust, personal, urgent care, giving you the edge when seconds count. Packed in an IP67 military-grade, waterproof and dust-proof case, this kit isn't just built tough, it's built to save lives. Inside, you'll find life-saving antibiotics, antivirals, antiparasitic, non-addictive pain relief, and even a generic EpiPen for critical allergic reactions. With over 60 conditions covered, this kit stands ready when medical help is miles away or simply not an option. Each kit includes an 85-page medical guide written by the wellness company's medical board, guiding you step-by-step to handle emergencies with confidence. It's designed for adventurers, survivalists, and anyone who refuses to leave their safety to chance. Gear up with the Field Emergency Kit today, because when the unexpected happens, you won't just survive, you'll conquer it. Click the link below and use code Turley to save up to $180 off. If you're the man of the house, this is the perfect gift to ask for this holiday. Digital gift cards are available. Click on that link below right now. So as I'm sure you all know by now, Daniel Penny has officially been acquitted. The Marine veteran was put on trial by the corrupt Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, the very same one who prosecuted President Trump, for criminally negligent homicide after putting a mentally ill homeless man, Jordan Neely, into a chokehold after Neely began violently threatening passengers on a New York subway. Now, of course, you would think that Penny would be celebrated as a hero, as a brave citizen coming to the defense of the threatened defenseless. But not if you're a woke liberal on CNN.
Later in the night, we're also going to talk about Penny and the verdict there. Mm-hmm. There you also have a victim who somebody determined did not deserve to continue living, right?
No.
Yeah, tell me which vigilante action is okay.
One is being proactive, right? So this kid who executed a guy walking away from him, shot him in the back, for no reason whatsoever. Daniel Penny is a hero. You can say anything you want. Talk to people who ride the subway every day. Because I do all the time. So I can't find anyone who rides the subway who's unhappy about this verdict.
Well,
yeah, you just heard that. You just heard a CNN anchor desperately try to equate Danny's actions with the cold-blooded murder of United Healthcare CEO. Keep in mind, this is CNN, okay? And keep in mind, too, these news anchors, they comprise, at least in part, our credentialed class, our supposedly educated class. These are the people who go to Marxist-infested universities. They learn about systemic racism and white privilege and all this nonsense, and then they come out having been effectively educated into imbecility. And so it's no surprise that the equivocations just kept coming, this time from MSNBC.
The breaking news here, Daniel Penny found not guilty. But Lisa, we also know that Jordan Neely's family had filed, I believe, a civil suit in this case as well. Does the verdict in this case impact that? Not necessarily. I mean, the law is rife with examples of people who are acquitted in criminal cases and yet find justice with respect to civil accountability. I think the best example of that is with respect to Ron Goldman being the man who was murdered alongside Nicole Brown Simpson. Even though O.J. Simpson was never found criminally guilty for those two murders, Fred Goldman, the father, along with his daughter, then sued O.J. Simpson civilly and won a fairly large verdict with respect to civil liability for O.J. Simpson. There are many other examples of similar disjuncture between what happens in a criminal court and what happens when respect to a wrongful death action, for example, by a family.
Do you even hear yourself? Seriously, how on earth can people like this even remotely be treated seriously? I'm talking by corporate executives. The corporate executives of MSNBC. How do you allow people like this on your so-called news program? Neely's family, think about what you just said. Neely's family can find justice in a civil suit just the way Ron Goldman's family found justice when suing freaking OJ. I mean, this woman, remember, whatever that is, by the way, whatever that word means, this woman literally just compared Danny Penny to O.J. Simpson. This is what happens. This is the degenerative effects of what happens when you're infected with the woke mind virus. Let me help these poor, pathetic excuses for commentators out a bit here, shall I? From 2013 to 2021, Jordan Neely was arrested, I kid you not, 42 times. 42 times. He was arrested in 2015 for kidnapping a 7-year-old girl. He was arrested for punching a 64-year-old man in the face. He was arrested another time for slugging a 67-year-old woman in the face as she exited the subway, breaking her nose. He's been arrested for petty larceny, jumping subway turnstiles, theft. The list goes on and on and on. This is the very definition of a career criminal. Now, what kind of justice system allows a person arrested 42 times to continue to walk the same streets as our kids do? That's a whole nother question. But for now, it's enough to note that this dude was the very definition of a bad actor. Okay, no healthy, sane society lauds and celebrates a person who's been arrested 42 times. That's key because, frankly, that changes everything. This was not, as the legacy media would want you to think, this was not a white on black crime. This was not a privileged white man killing a deprivileged black man. This was a law-abiding citizen defending fellow law-abiding citizens from a career criminal. Welcome to sanity. Welcome back. This was a law-abiding citizen defending fellow law-abiding citizens from a career criminal. That's called sanity. To drive that point home, among the passengers who felt threatened by Neely on the subway were a number of black women. In fact, a black woman testified on Danny's behalf as a witness for the defense. And take a look at who assisted Danny in holding Neely down. Well, what do you know? It's none other than a black man. This was a multi-racial response by law-abiding citizens defending themselves from a deeply disturbed, deranged criminal threatening the lives of passengers of all colors on that subway. These were law-abiding citizens bravely defending fellow law-abiding citizens from a deranged and threatening career criminal. That is what happened. Any healthy, sane society will see that. But not liberals. Not those infected with the woke mind virus. You see, the woke mind virus is by definition morally inverted. It is inherently an ironic worldview that repeatedly recasts good as evil and evil as good. And I'm glad to see that more and more commentators are using the term anarcho-tyranny to make sense of all of this, because that's exactly what we've been calling it, and that's exactly what we're seeing being implemented by these ultra-woke cultural Marxist leftists when they gain power. Under an anarcho-tyrannical system, criminals are ironically recast as heroes, all the while heroes, people who rise up to defend the defenseless, are recast as criminals, worthy of decades of jail time. And this is because the criminals are now seen as victims. Victims of an incurably racist system that is perpetuated and protected by the law-abiding. So the law-abiding are actually the criminals in that they're perpetuating, protecting a system that is inherently racist and bigoted. So anarcho-tyranny grants immunity from the law to criminals, all the while actually going so far as to fabricate offense for the law-abiding. I mean, that's exactly what Alvin Bragg did with the charges against Trump. He literally invented charges. The charges had passed the statute of limitations, so he had to do all kinds of legal gymnastics to try to make them once again applicable. And to this day, we still do not know what law Trump actually broke. But it doesn't matter, because with anarcho-tyranny, criminals are heroes and heroes are criminals. And you're a criminal before you even tried. It's baked into the cake. And by the way, as you all know, the two were differentiated. The hero and the criminal are now differentiated ultimately for no other reason than the color of their skin. You know which category you belong to based on your race. Anarcho-tyranny is the very definition of racism in its most vile and vicious form. And lives are being destroyed by this radical leftist ideology. And it's beautiful to see that even a Manhattan jury appears to have had enough with it. A number of articles are being published of late asking the question as to whether Trump's landslide on November 5th that you made happen officially marked the end of wokeness and the beginning of the end of anarcho-tyranny in America. Well, given the fact that Trump got record support as a Republican among urban populations, I think the answer to that is frankly rather clear. Urban populations have been most adversely affected by the anarcho-tyrannical policies of the woke left, and it looks like they've had enough and they see Trump as their avenger. Just last weekend, a Republican did the unthinkable. He beat the incumbent Democrat in the mayoral race in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Now, Baton Rouge has been, until this point, a solidly blue Democrat city. No more. They now have a Republican mayor. The electorate there swung an astonishing 21 points to the right after the Republican promised to restore law and order back to the city. And back on November 5th, radically progressive district attorneys, all backed by George Soros, lost 13 of the top 25 races across the nation, even in some of the deepest blue strongholds. So, for example, that included Republican turned independent Nathan Hawkman in the city of Los Angeles. He crushed their ultra-liberal Soros-backed DA George Gascon by a humiliating 23 points. So it does appear as if the days of wokeness are finally coming to an end. And so what that means is that the legacy media can scream their liberal hysterics all they want, given their plunging ratings. No one's around to give them the time of day.